Hi, I'm Teresa Baglietto, host of In Shock Radio. Like many of you, I have faced my share of challenges. From cancer to job loss, divorce to financial hardship, you name it, I have experienced it. This podcast is about overcoming life's toughest moments and finding the courage and strength to keep going. So tune in to unleash your inner strength and discover how to move forward, no matter what life throws your way. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday and welcome back to the show. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for tuning in. We have such an incredible community that spans across the entire globe. And it's so special to me because all of you take the time to tune in every other Sunday and listen to these relatable topics that I share about real life. I know it has been a very long time coming for those of you who've been writing with me for a while. You have been waiting for this, and it is finally here. Today, I've got a guest, and not just any guest. I'm talking to an author who turned a lifelong dream into a reality. But before we jump in, I want to set the stage. When people think of my In Shock podcast, we think of things like a loss, struggle, heartbreak. But guess what? Sometimes that shock can come with positive news, a lot of excitement. This kind of shock that I'm talking about can put you over the moon with excitement. It could be a long overdue promotion, or maybe you just got engaged or had a baby, or it could be that you've landed a job that you've been interviewing for. This is something big that you're celebrating. I just climbed the highest mountain in North Africa that was incredibly invigorating, but terrifying at the same time. I was shocked that we did it, but it was incredible. It was like this massive reward. This episode is all about turning the dream that you've been holding on to into something real because it's never too late to start. After years of doing it all, she raised her kids, she built a career, and she kept her household running. She went through a divorce. My guest is an author who has buried her creative dreams under her everyday survival. Her in shock moment is about finally answering the creative call that's been whispering to her all of these years. She didn't just write a book, she has written and self-published 3 novels. She's building a community on social media that has fallen in love with her romance novels. She's a writer and a rising star in the world of fiction. She's already captured readers' hearts with her first 2 novels, The Vineyard at Midnight and Under the Hanalei Moon. Her third novel, Dreaming of Annabel, was just released on May 19th. I have read 2 of her books. They're not just love stories, they're layered, emotional, and will transport you to wine country, Hawaii, Paris, and into the lives of characters you'll think about long after the final page. You're going to want a sequel. Dreaming of Annabel is her latest novel, and it belongs on your reading list. Jill, it is such an honor to have you on the show. Not only are you an accomplished author whose books are flying off the shelf, you're living proof of what happens when you turn your dreams into reality.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening to your podcast. I go on my walks during my lunch and I love listening. And I'm like, you know what? Her audience is my audience. I need to reach out to her and make this happen.
I'm so happy that you reached out to me. I've read your books, and from the very first pages of your first book, The Vineyard at Midnight, it felt like I was reading a bestseller. I'm not
Oh,
just saying that. I was so impressed with your writing.
thank you so much. It was a labor of love.
Your storytelling has this incredible way of pulling readers right into the setting. I loved the book because you pull us into the hearts of your characters like we're living it with them. It's such a gift that you have.
I appreciate that.
You've said writing was something that whispered to you for years. How long have you been carrying that dream, and what finally gave you the courage to say, now's the time to do it?
I've always loved to write and read books. In college, I was a communications major and I took journalism and creative writing classes, but I had to find a career. So I got a career in marketing. As I was going through my career, I did a lot of copywriting and I always thought I would love to write a book. I love to read. I'm inspired by authors. I would start books here and there, but just never really follow through with it. It wasn't until June when I finished reading one of my favorite authors, Barbara Davis. Her books have the similar formula as mine, where there's the past and the present, and somehow the stories come together through some romance and mystery. I had run out of all her books, and I was thinking, what am I going to read next? I decided I could take this formula, put my own characters in it, and make a story. I started the process and didn't really share it with anyone at first. When I was on a family vacation in Yosemite, I told my brother, and he's like, I'd love to read it. At that point, I had 4 chapters done, and I shared it with him. And he, being the teacher that he is, sent it back with marks and edits and suggestions. And that's where our writer editing relationship began. I truly believe that his encouragement is what kept me going because you're being held accountable. I've looked up to my brother my entire life, and he's encouraging me, and it kept me going. Through the years, I never had the time. I was raising children, had a full-time job. It's been a combination of having someone in my corner cheering me on and having the time. This is my creative outlet and brings me joy, so I went for it.
You've got somebody you can bounce things off of, who can give you feedback on what you're writing before you publish it. It's nice to have that human element. I think a lot of us rely on ChatGPT for feedback if we're solo.
This has been a fun way for our relationship to come back to interacting every week.
That's so special.
Yeah, it is.
You are a self-published author of
And
fiction novels that are available on Amazon. Your newest novel just came out on Monday the 19th, Dreaming of Annabel. What has it felt like being a published author and not just dreaming about it anymore?
it's crazy because I've always been my worst critic.
Mm.
And I'm just surprised how confident I am in it. I'm more proud of myself for putting myself out there than for actually accomplishing a story and publishing a book. My books, I feel they're not perfect. I read amazing authors that are unbelievably talented, and I would love to be that someday. I know that this is a growing process, and
Mm.
each book I'll get better and learn something different. I'll get reviews, and that validates what I'm doing. I've gotten a lot of 4 and 5 star reviews, and they're always super validating. That just keeps me going, keeps me believing in myself and knowing there's people out there that want to read my stories.
Yeah, when I read your first book, I've read 2 of them and I'm into Dreaming of Annabel right now, and they're page turners. They really are written like a bestseller.
Thank you. That means a lot. In the most recent story, I started to not like one of the characters, and I'm like, I'm creating him. I can change him.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Oh my god, that's fantastic.
it's kind of strange. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep. I start thinking about my next story while I'm still writing the current story, and I have to get it down on paper and put it into a story and create these characters. But my favorite part is finding settings because I love to learn about new places, and you can go onto Apple Maps or Google Maps and walk the streets of Paris, which is pretty cool. Just doing the research is fun.
I love that you didn't like this character and can literally wipe them out, change them, and create what you're really trying to create as a character. Think about how many of us don't like something and can't necessarily wipe it out.
In my most recent book I'm working on right now, I had to do a major plot twist because I started not liking him. And
Mm.
it's kind of like, well, why don't I just go back and change things? I'm like, no, no, this is who he is now.
We're talking about your newest novel, Dreaming of Annabel, which was just released. Can you tell us a little bit about the story and what inspired it without giving the whole book away?
It's a dual timeline. There's a past story and a present story. One's in 1965 and one's in 2024. The story takes place in Paris. In the past, it's Annabelle. She is studying abroad as an art history student, and she's living with a family as an au pair. She meets and falls in love with a street painter named Pierre Louis. In the present story, there's Skylar and Annabelle's granddaughter. Annabelle in the present story has passed away, and Skylar was left this painting. And all she has about this painting is that it was signed by a man named Pierre Louis. Skylar is being pulled to Paris through her dreams. She's going through a breakup and decides to buy a one-way ticket to Paris to uncover the mystery of this painting. Between the two stories, there's a little bit of romance in the present story where Skylar is working with this really cute art archivist and he's helping her uncover the story. Stuff happens there. And then in the past story, there's a little bit of mystery and you're trying to figure out what happened. And just through the dreams that Skylar's having and the retelling of the past story, they come together with some romance, mystery. It's a page turner, it sucks you in. You want to know what's going to happen and you're flipping back and forth.
Yes, it is. I'm at that point where Skylar has bought the one-way ticket. What I love about her is she's such a strong female.
Yeah, she is. In fact, in my books, I tend to think of someone and who am I basing this character off of? When Under the Hanalei Moon, it was Maggie, and I was basing her off my daughter McKenna. And in
Mm.
Dreaming of Annabelle, Skylar and Annabelle, they're both very similar, based off my daughter Kiki. It's kind of cool. I picture them in my mind as tell these stories.
I love
Yeah.
that. My heart was racing when Skylar was going through her situation, and I was rooting that she was gonna make the right choice, which she did, and it was a very difficult one for her. I love that she stayed strong through it, true to herself, and decided, "I'm gonna go do something completely random, and there's no reason why I can't," and hops on the plane to Paris. I encourage all the listeners to check out Dreaming of Annabelle. I mean, all of Jill's books are incredible. They're all page turners. You're going to fly through them and be gnawing at the bit for her next book, like I was.
Thank you.
How did writing Dreaming of Annabelle challenge you or surprise you compared to your first two books?
The formatting, when you're a self-publisher, you format the book yourself, you market it yourself. I created my covers, which that's the fun part. I love creating covers because my background's in graphic design. I've learned to organize things better so that when it comes to copying it over to the formatting that it needs to be published in, everything is seamless now. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I do a little bit of research. I ease myself into the writing. It's really hard to just start writing. Doing
Mm.
research is always the way that helps me. I'm researching this and I want to write about it now. From 5 until about 6:45, I drink coffee and I research and then I start to write. Just having that set time for me has helped. With Dreaming of Annabelle, all my books, there's challenges and there's hardships with the characters, but this one I really struggled with. I hated that my characters had some of the hardships they did. It really helped the story and showed how they could overcome the hardships. And it was challenging, but it helped the story become what it was.
Yeah, it's really inspiring because we think of the struggles and life's curveballs that we all go through, which is very real. We have to overcome those moments in our lives. And nobody likes the challenges. We don't like curveballs when they come our way. We don't like change. But the reality is that you point out about this book, there's times when we're living high and happy, and there's times where we're really struggling. And that's when we grow the most. Everything that you just described, you grow as a writer, especially having to accept these are the characters and the situations and challenges that you've written about, and here's how they overcome them. That's an incredible talent to be able to do that.
No one wants bad things to happen to good people. Creating that in a story is hard to do. Just as you've shared your challenges on your podcast, you would be an amazing character for a book. Your main character quality.
I could be your next book.
For sure. I think that's what people are drawn to because you want to know if someone else has experienced something hard and look how they've gotten
Mhm.
through it and let me learn from that. I hope my characters in The Vineyard at Midnight, being my debut novel, you write what you know. My kids are growing up, I'm divorced, and I'm finding a new path in life. My main character was going through the same thing. I remember trying to find books for myself to read that would help me feel good. Like there is
Mhm.
light at the end of the tunnel, there's other things in life available to me. And my main character in that book, her journey, I learned have plenty of life ahead of me. I still have all these dreams I can achieve, and life isn't over. There
Mhm.
is light at the end of the tunnel.
You've talked about these challenges that your characters are facing. When Skylar was in her situation, I was rooting that she would push through because I was going to be so upset if she chose the other way. And I think when we're watching movies, reading books, we get hooked into these characters. We fall in love with them and want what's best for them. It's that reason such a gifted writer like yourself can pull us into these characters and they become our friends. I'm like, "Oh my god, Skylar, please make the right decision. Please make the right decision. Oh my god, I'm gonna be so upset if she doesn't." But then there's a whole plot twist if she didn't anyway, but nonetheless, I was very excited she decided to do what she did. Well done on that.
Thank you.
There's people out there that have dreams. We all think about our dreams, and maybe some of us are actually chasing them and trying to make it happen. But given everything that you've been through, what would you tell somebody if you were sitting across from them?
I would first tell them it's never too late. That's kind of cliche, but it's true. If you find what brings you joy and you find your passion, you'll succeed. And that's what happened with me. Obviously, I can't quit my day job quite yet. That's the goal. The joy that it brings me is all that matters. If you're thinking about something and you're so passionate about it, you want to do it, but you think, oh, I'm 50 or whatever age it is, I'm too old, that's making an excuse. And you're probably more scared. If you get past that fear and you embrace that passion, you'll find the joy and you'll want that to continue. So you'll keep going.
Was there concerns about any financial struggles you may have to come across that you wouldn't be able to afford to do as a writer?
It's competitive, and you really have to invest money to find an agent or a publisher or using a marketing firm. It's expensive. I'm completely self-published, doing all the marketing on my own, and I'm growing slowly. If I wanted to grow faster, I would need to invest a lot more money. With Dreaming of Annabel is where I have the most confidence. So I am going
Mm.
to invest the money. I'm looking into different marketing companies that will help boost getting my book in front of people. This podcast is another step. There's a lot of little steps. I have a platform on Goodreads now. It's just one thing at a time and it's a slow growing process. There's people who go viral quickly, but that's a small percentage. My brother doesn't charge me. He says he'll wait till I'm a bestseller before he starts charging me because having an editor who's doing it for free, who's really good, I'm just so lucky.
Yeah, you are. It's great to have those kind of family members and connections in your life that want to help you and are able to.
Yeah, I think a lot of authors that are self-publishing, if there's anyone out there wanting to do this or they're starting to write, they have to be realistic and know that it is a slow growing. You have to have patience and do it for the joy because if you're not doing it for the joy, then there's no point. If I didn't love doing this, it would not be worth my time at all because it is so hard to build this business.
Then it starts to feel like work, right? And it's no longer a labor of love. It's laborious and it feels heavy and you don't want to do it. And people get very impatient, especially in today's society. If something's not happening fast enough, they want to give up. And it's really people like yourself who have the grit, the tenacity, the perseverance to keep going no matter what. You're one of those individuals who will be wildly successful. You've already got books flying off the shelf on Amazon. You're already a rising star out there. It's phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
What really inspires you as you think of creating the characters and the scene of all of your novels? Where do those ideas stem from?
The first book takes place in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and I knew I needed to write about somewhere that I could at least visit. I don't have a lot of money to travel the world. I can drive to Santa Cruz very easily from where I live. I grew up really close to Santa Cruz and went there all through my childhood. It was familiar to me, and I love Santa Cruz. I love the vineyards in the mountain area. This is a good setting. I was able to like look on Google Maps. I found a vineyard on Google Maps, and I'm like, this is what the vineyard is, so I could picture it in my head and like know where everything was situated. Just knowing the area was my first thought for Vineyard at Midnight. And then the characters, that book is loosely based on my life, moving on from divorce and children growing up and trying to find my new path. That's when you write what you know. After that book, I started thinking about where could my next book be set? Something I know, something I want to visit. My dad lived in Kauai for years, and I used to visit him all the time there. And I've explored the whole island in those years. It holds a special place in my heart because, my dad ended up dying there as well. I was there when he passed away, and
Mm.
he really loved the island and he loved sharing it with me. I have a lot of amazing memories with him there. So I thought that's a beautiful setting, be easy to sell a book based in Kauai because people are going on vacation there. And it's almost like imagine you go on Pinterest, like what to do in Kauai, and it shows you top 10 things. Well, this book does the same thing, but it also tells you a beautiful story as well. And I like surfing. I like that whole surfing vibe. And so my characters were inspired by that. My daughter's a surfer, and just kind of picturing her falling in love in Kauai. Dreaming of Annabel. I went to Paris when I was 21, I believe. My dad
Okay.
li- my dad lived in Holland, and so I visited for a couple weeks and we did a little road trip and ended up in Paris. But I was so young, I didn't appreciate it. I feel like, we went to museums and you just did all the cool things that now if I were there I would just be so excited about doing, but I was just too young to appreciate it, and I've always wanted to go back. It's a bucket list for sure. I figured, hey, I'll start researching Paris. That will help me write my novel. I get to learn more about a new place and create a story there and eventually go there and kind of relive the story and walk around the areas I wrote about.
Mhm. I loved Under the Hanalei Moon, there's 2 love stories that are happening.
Yes. There's a very interesting twist on one of them in the
Yeah.
past. It took place in the 70s. People who were gay were not quite able to come out like they are today. I wanted Maggie's best friend to be gay because it was the 70s. I didn't, know what it was like. I know people who grew up and struggled with it and felt afraid to come out. I reached out to him and became closer with him through that process because we weren't really that close growing up. He's an amazing human, and his ability to share with me and be open and the struggles he went through were real, and now he's living his true life, and it's just awesome to see.
I bet there's a sense of freedom.
And that side story is another one of those hardships for my characters.
That was a sad moment, but the event that took place in the ocean with everybody on their surfboards, I have goosebumps right now just talking about it. I just thought that was such a beautiful moment for that person.
Yes, it was.
What is next for you? Is book 4 already calling your name? You mentioned something earlier that you've been thinking about another book while you're in the middle of Dreaming of Annabel.
So yeah, that's usually what happens. I'll be writing one of my books, and then I wake up in the middle of the night every night and just can't shut my mind off. I start
Sure.
thinking about books and characters, and I usually come up with my next book while I'm writing my current book. I started writing my new book, and I'm on chapter 20 already. It's a little bit different than my first three. It has dual timelines. It's a little more fun.
Mhm.
There's definitely some struggles and there's a little bit of romance. It takes place in England, St. Ives's. It's a little coastal village in England. Edith Pembroke is the main character, and she has this childhood best friend who becomes her boyfriend. And then they go off to different universities, and at some point he just ghosts her and she doesn't really know why. She's heartbroken and never gets the closure she needs. She pours her energy into opening an art gallery. And in the meantime, he comes back to St. Ives and he's engaged. She's struggling with the chaos of opening her art gallery, with him showing back up. And in the meantime, he keeps running into Nico at every turn. And then something's starting to bloom with this artist named Declan. He's from Ireland. He's a brawny lad. And it's heartfelt, it's a little bit messy, and it's sprinkled with a little bit of humor. It's coming together, and it's a really great story.
Yeah, that's fun that you're thinking of bringing some humor into the romance. It just shows another side of you as a writer. I can't wait to read that one. And I think something everyone needs to know is Jill's books come out very quick. And that's what I love about her release dates. As she said, she's already thinking about the next book, 20 chapters in. So I would imagine you have a release date in mind. Do you?
I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was talking about how I want to bring more humor into this book. And he said the best way to do that is to turn it into first person, which like I said, I've written over 20 chapters now. And
You're pretty far in.
I said, maybe that's a good thing because I do feel like I've been churning them out too quickly to the point where people are like, oh, cool, another book.
Think about all the series that we watch on streaming. We literally rip through them in no time and we're like, where's the next season? And
Yeah.
we have to wait a very long time because it's a movie. There's a lot more involved. I was always impressed with, holy shit, her next book is out
If I'm gonna
faster than a series. I think people expect it.
if I'm gonna change this whole entire book to first person, then it's gonna be a lot of tweaking and going back. I think I might do that because I have noticed that these books that I've been listening to and reading lately, it is told in first person. And you're, as a first person narrator, you're able to joke with your listener a little bit more. That's how the humor comes in. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. He threw that out there, and I was like, that's going to take a lot of rewriting. I also feel like I have time. I just released Dreaming of Annabel. I'm thinking maybe like December-ish is the plan.
We're all going to be waiting for it.
Oh, it's called Edith Pembroke's Ever After.
Oh, I like
I
it.
have one more thing to tell you for Dreaming of Annabel. It's possible that I'll have an Audible. It's in the work. A lot of people prefer Audible. The books are available in print and Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, they're free.
Jill, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story today. We have known each other for over 20 years. Our boys were best friends growing up since preschool. But watching you bring this dream to life has been nothing short of inspiring. I am so proud of you for what you've
Well, thank
done.
you.
I think you're going to be wildly successful.
Well, thank you so much. I feel the same about your podcast. I've been enjoying it on my walks, and it's just so fun to see that grow for you. And it's been great connecting this way.
You can find all of Jill's books on Amazon. If you check out my notes page for this episode, you'll see a link to her website, where you can buy her books, as well as her TikTok and Instagram links. Jill's story is proof that it's never too late to start, no matter what your age. What are the reasons people put off creating their dream job? We might feel that it's too expensive, depending on what it is that you're trying to start. It's scary, right? it could feel very overwhelming to think about pulling the trigger and executing on something that you've dreamed of. Or it could be that you simply don't know where to start. But here's the thing, you don't have to invest thousands to begin, depending on what you're trying to do. There are a lot of free resources like social media, podcasts, and YouTube that can teach you, inspire you, and help you get your footing so you know where to begin. And that fear, it fades the moment you take the first step. There is nothing like the feeling of saying, I did it, even if you're still building, because once you start, you're living it. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you are anxious to grab one of Jill's books, head on over to Amazon and type in her name, Jillendal. And if this episode inspired you or made you reflect on your own dreams, I hope you'll stick around. There is so much more to come, and I'd love to have you on this journey with me. Until next time.